Okay, YouTube, Mike Bell back again from TorrentPerformance, and today we're going to talk a little bit about the rear. I'm going to take apart a rear master cylinder and show you everything that's in it and how it works. Not feeling too good today. Getting a little tired being tired, and had to deal with them idiots at Mitsubishi on my transmission today. It's amazing that you buy a brand new car. You think you're going to drive it 100,000 miles in 10 years, and you drive your car 3 years and put 100,000 miles on it, and the transmission gives you problems at 100,400 miles. And yeah, that's just the way my luck is. But we're gonna get into this because I said I'm gonna make these videos every week, and not too impressed today. So I've got that brake caliper that I have no idea what motorcycle it's from. I don't know. I think it was off a Ducati 748 sitting over here on the workbench, so we're going to get right into this. Okay, so here we go. This is actually a rear master cylinder, the brake line, brake cup, and brake caliper off an absolutely miserable, well, it's a Brembo caliper, so I'm guessing I got this off another Ducati. But this is just your basic setup on a sport bike for the rear master cylinder. A lot of people don't realize even how this stuff works. What you have is you have your rear master cylinder here, and this works with your brake pedal, and your brake cup is set up with your fluid. So your fluid is run through the line into the brake master cylinder, and your brake pumps. There's a shaft in here that's adjustable that actually pumps into the master cylinder. Let's see if we can get this just like that. And what happens as it pumps, it produces pressure through the lines to the brake caliper. So what you have is you have fluid in this brake, this miserable looking, this is in such bad shape, I should have cleaned this stuff up. And the brake cup that runs to the master cylinder that you pump your brakes, that creates the fluid that runs through the brake line to the brake caliper here. And then what you have is you have your two brake pads in here, and we'll get to this when I take this brake caliper apart. Through the pressure, you have it, this should just be a piston in there. If you're on the front, you usually have two. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. Nissan, I think, has 6 piston front brakes. Usually they're 2, though, or 4. And there's a brake. Excuse me, not feeling too well today. There's a brake piston in there, and there's seals in there and whatnot, and I'll show you how that is there once I get this apart. But essentially what you have is your brake lever pumping into the master cylinder. So you're pumping the fluid in from the brake cup. Brake cup's always up, pumping through the line, creating pressure, and then smashing these pads against your brake disc. And the one thing about this is when you let off the brakes, the pads will just go back, and they should not apply pressure to the disc. If they do, then you have something that's stuck, and they'll push in on the disc, and once you let off, they'll just float there. If they're dragging, you got problems. So yeah, let's get this thing apart here so I can show you this. Now, a lot of people don't know what this is. This is your brake bleeder screw. These come in all different sizes. What you have is this is what you would crack open to bleed your brakes. And there's a little pinhole. You have a pinhole in the bottom. That's all you need. And then in the top, and this whole brake setup is really dirty. And it goes in here, and when you want to bleed your brakes, you just crack this, and it allows the air to escape out of the line and out of the system. So that's your brake bleeder screw. Every brake system has them. And then what you have is, actually loosen these up here before I started this. Then you have your brake screw, and it'll have a hole in it as well. This still has fluid in it. And your brake, it's got one in the bottom. You'll have a hole in the bottom of it and a hole in the top. And here in the top, as you can see, where this hole is, that's where your brake line goes in. And then your brake line will actually have a hole inside of here, very small one. And that's how you create the pressure. Anytime you remove these, you need to put new copper washers in there. A lot of the motorcycle companies, if you go to the shop, they charge you $1 a piece. From what I found, I always have these in stock because I tear so much stuff apart. You can get them online in 10 or 20 packs that are reasonable. If you really want to spend some money, you can buy the 100 packs. But that way you just have them on hand for the job tasked at hand here. So there's that. And then your brake master cylinder has your another brake bolt here. Now, if you were on a Harley, you probably want these brake bolts in chrome or black. A lot of people want chrome. I don't know why. You spend hours cleaning the stuff. And copper washer. And your hole there. And that's how you're getting your pressures through that hole. This is another thing I always have in stock on hand for me. Are these little clips. Might have to get a pair of pliers here. Man, this stuff's old and dirty. Are these clips. I don't ever reassemble anything without putting these clips back on. A lot of people, they just say, oh, I don't need those clips. Or when they take it apart, they, these clips fall on the floor, they disappear. That's another thing you can get on the internet and find these clips. I always have these clips on hand for anything that I'm working on. A lot of times if you get into vacuum lines for fuel injection carburetor systems and they have these clips on there, you really need to put those back on there, or you will get air in the system and then you'll have all kinds of problems. And then you usually have one up here as well with the brake cup. Now I'll tell you another thing. I had a Ducati before I really started working on mine. Into the shop, and the shop is very good around here for the Ducati shop, and I don't know, I had a $500 or $600 bill up there, and that's probably not going to come off there. The one thing I will tell you is they charged me $38 for this style of brake cup, and they need to make their money. I get it, but that is just astronomical. Now I'll tell you, this is another thing I have in stock. Always when you start messing with stuff is I got on eBay and I found these brake cups for about $2.99. And a lot of people say, well, that's a Brembo brake cup. Well, I'll tell you what, I haven't noticed a difference in these for years. I've used these things forever, and the cups don't seem to break down. I've got to order them from China, which I hate to do. But I mean, would I rather pay $3 to China or pay a VAT fee from Italy, which is a value-added tax that everything that comes out of Italy has a 25% tax when it gets imported here to America, which is outrageous. But yeah, I always had those brake cups in stock too, and then you just have your master cylinder here, which runs on a plunger. I'm not gonna rip that boot off, as you can see inside of here, and that's your plunger rod that goes into the master cylinder that creates the pressure in the line to apply the brakes. Okay, now we gotta go to the brake caliper here. Really didn't plan on getting dirty. And I might have to cut here and loosen these up. They're really stuck on. No, that one's coming out. be able to get that other one out. Oh, before we start, now this one has a push rod in it. And what you have is a E-clip down here on this rod that we want to remove to get the pads off before we do this. You might have usually a flathead screwdriver or a real small one is what you want to pry that off of there. Now I'll tell you what, those get lost too. You go up there to the shop, you're going to pay for this. Best thing I found is Harbor Freight has a whole box of those that you can buy. And then sometimes you got to pound these out. Now this is going to control your, not sure how this one's, yeah. It's going to control your pads. Then there's usually a lip on here. Don't lose this piece either. I'll tell you what, I got charged $24. Anything Ducati is outrageous. I don't know what's worse, Ducati or Harley. Starting to lean toward maybe looking into a Harley. Someone said something to me the other day, and I just told them I haven't reached that age yet. See, there goes that. There goes that clip. It's gone. It's on the floor. It's missing. Also, do not misplace these. I forget what these are called, but they always cost a stupid amount of money for these. I think I paid $12 for the last one on my Yamaha, but gotta have them. Separate the pad and keep the width. And there are your pads. Pretty standard. I don't think I'm going to be able to break that apart. It's in there too tight. I don't know if it's in there too tight or the person that owned this did not take care of this. Whatever this, I don't even remember what this came off of. I think this come off that Ducati 748. That other parts that I bought. Basically bought two bikes. And I've got the whole, there's the engine sitting on this table right next to me. I've got everything to rebuild it, but the top end gaskets, and I'm a little weary on building the heads myself, so I was going to have to go to up to have them do that and assemble that. Ducatis are a little weird. They don't run on the valve spring system. They run on rods. Totally different. That's why they're called Desmo engines. They built those engines like that for a long time. They're the only company to do it. Another downfall of Ducati, I hate to get on Ducati here because they build wonderful machines, but the timing belts on older Ducatis usually only run for 2 years. You don't even have to ride the bike for 2 years, because when those timing belts are under tension, you know, even if they're stored, they need to be replaced every 2 years, or you're going to risk dropping a valve and hitting a valve. And the reason that Ducatis run like they do is their tolerances are so tight on the inside of the engine for the valve train, where you got your Japanese bikes that run on valve springs and shims, where you don't have to have the real tight tolerances. There's a little more leniency on the top end. Okay, got this part here. Okay, so what you have here is, you know, your front and your rear. And I don't think I'm going to be able to get these brake pistons out of there. There's always seals in these. And these seals are what will go bad. Actually, this would be the seal side. You really never want to use these tools, but this thing is trash, so I'm not worried about damaging this. You would never use pliers on this to damage this. It's really stuck in there. I mean, you don't even know what you're looking at, but this is probably about a $200 rear brake setup I'm tearing apart here. Could have put on eBay. Man, it's stuck. Probably should have put some fluid in it and pushed it out. Wow. Holy cow. Man, this thing. This is why you gotta know what you're buying. Especially when you're buying stuff for parts. Really gotta know what you're buying. I've been burned so many times by people. I don't even think some of it's on purpose. I think some of it's just lack of knowledge. And there's your brake piston that pushes up against the pads. Let's see if I get a towel here. Anytime you get brake fluid on you, you want to try to remove it as quick as possible from your skin. It's very corrosive. You don't want to get it on your face or ingest it. But you have your seals on this side here. And some of them are made different. You can see your hole down there. There's a little hole down there. A little hole right here, and that's how you're going to get your pressure to push on the brake cup. Brake piston, I'm sorry. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all you have on your brakes. I mean, it's pretty simple stuff. And no ring there, come out of there somewhere. It was right there. Yeah, a lot of people, they just, you know, they buy a motorcycle to ride. Nothing wrong with that, but a lot of people really don't know what does what. That's why they just go to the shop. And some of these repairs are really simple. And you can do these repairs on your own and save, you know, you can save a little bit of money. And that was kind of the purpose of me getting on YouTube, was kind of putting a little bit of my knowledge out there, which I'm no master mechanic. I've never been to a school to get certified, but like I keep saying, I've broke enough stuff and disassembled and parted out enough stuff that I'm pretty much very knowledgeable on this stuff. I hate to actually have to, that was real tight, go into a school to get a piece of paper when I'm not so 100% sure that they can teach me any more than I already know. It's kind of sad that that's the way it works, you know, but that's the way it is. Just like a sales job, the boss is always looking at numbers. You want to produce in a sales job, you got to produce numbers. Get that in there wrong. There we go. Plus, I really don't care right now. There we go. It's amazing when stuff goes together like it should. And that did not go in there like it should. Okay, that's about it. I'm not certain this thing is so still. Oh, I got an Android. I switched over from Windows to Android. I wonder if that works on this thing. Plug this in. Here. Hit the button. Of course this thing don't work. I'll tell you what. I got a new nickname for these things. These ain't selfie sticks. These are stupid sticks. People who use these are freaking stupid. I swear to God. Stupid ass